there should be player development at programs outside of just Division I FBS football. And so today I am addressing something. When I look at one of the number one podcast episodes I have, it's talking about smaller programs creating player development. So we're going to talk about that today, how a smaller program or a less resource program can create impactful player development on their campus. Hello. My name is Ed Jones II, and this is the 97th episode of the Player Development Pod. 97, as your uncle might say at the cookout, or you all have uncles that talk like that at the cookout, but wear the open-toe shoes. Anyway, 97th episode of Player Development Pod, and some of you all have literally tuned into every single podcast episode. And if that is you, please put it in the notes. I want to share something with you. I really do. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for supporting the Player Development Pod. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm also the founder of Beyond the Field Player Development, where we help create impactful player development professionals and programs. You can find out how we do that by clicking in the show notes. The Player Development Resources there to help you. All right, so let's talk about it. I have really committed to bringing this topic, I don't want to call it an issue, this topic to the forefront of player development. I have a podcast episode with Chris Smith right here where we talk about FCS player development. So, hey, click on that. Shout out to my guy Chris Smith at SFA. We dove into what player development looks like at FCS, at the FCS level. And from there, I wrote a blog about how to create player development at smaller programs. It's in the show notes. And I also had another podcast episode right here with Andre Sims Jr., who is now at Syracuse, but during this podcast, when we recorded it, he was at Brookwood High School in Georgia. And so we talked about high school player development. And so want to bring focus there because I think player development should happen for every athlete in the world, for every sport. Now, right now, its strongest presence is Division I FBS, and that's a reality, and that's fine, as I had 6 years in that role. But definitely want to talk about how, if you're at a smaller program, maybe you're FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, high school, or a youth organization, want to talk about how you can create player development where you are. And I have 5 ways you can do it. And if you stick through this podcast episode, I have something that will help you when we get to the end. But we're going to talk about that because I want you to create the same impact that I was able to create at the University of Houston, the University of Kansas, and Baylor University. I have 5 ways. There are 5 ways to create player development programming with the resources you are afforded at these programs. We'll just say, and I don't want to say smaller program to diminish what anyone's doing. Let's say less resource. Hopefully you all know where my heart is in that. I'm not trying to, y'all know where my heart's at. You've been here before. All right, so here are the 5 ways. Number one, you have to engage your campus resources. Every campus that I've been a part of and every campus I know, they have a few things. They're going to have a career center or career services. They're going to have it. So maybe you can't do the full, internships you may see Clemson do or Michigan do or a Kansas did when I was there, or all these other programs. But you have career services. You can help players, athletes get their resumes, different things done. Use that resource. Every campus is going to have mental health resources. Use those. There's counselors, there's professionals that this campus, they're paying people to get these things done to help your athletes. Use those as well. And every campus has a community relations department. Every campus or a volunteer program. I know when I was at Houston, they call it the Metropolitan Volunteer Program or MVP. Every university has a community relations department. And so those are a few areas. There's a lot more. You can do your research or you can get with me. Hey, hit me up. I'll do it for you. Let's work together to make it happen because this is a business, not just a podcast. But there's a lot of resources that your campus has that you can use in a role to help aid your players. And these people will love to help. They're there to help anyway. They're there to help anyway. I had a conversation with someone today who's at an FCS program, and I mentioned they said, well, how do I get this done? I said, you email them and you let them know that they can help, create the best mascot name in the university of the next 10 years. And they're going to fall into that. So, reach out to those people. Campus resources, I use them at the universities I was at, and we were for lack of a better word, a more resource program, but I use those resources. Use your campus resources. Number 2, use the organization resources. So whatever organization you're under. So if you're in college, you have a conference, a division, maybe a region, but you have an organization that presides over you and all that you all do. You all have a code of laws that you have to adhere to. Use that organization. If it's a conference, like I said, or an institution, use that. If you're at the high school level, you have a school district. There's a school district, right? They have resources. When I was when I taught high school, we had a school that was dedicated to career and technical education. There's other resources. You have so many people, not just the resources that the organization provides, but even the professions. There may be an associate commissioner. There may be an assistant superintendent who is passionate about something. Use your organizational resources to help create opportunities in the role. Number 3, your community resources. Use the community resources, right? You're in a community, you're in a city, you're in a county, you're in an area. There are resources. You may have politicians that have initiatives. You may have companies that have initiatives that they want to meet. There are different organizations in the community that want to get things done that may align with what you want to do to help student athletes. Use the community resources, get to know those people, and create impact in the community together. Now, before we continue on, I want to talk to you about a course that I created just for you. It's called the Guide to Player Development course. It is a self-paced course that will walk you through creating a player development outline so that you can have a foundation to create immediate impact in the player development role. Check it out in the show notes. I mentioned community, and there are certain things in the community you have, but number 4, the city and county resources. There are a lot there. There's more funding at that level, maybe more funding than your community, but there's definitely funding there at the city and county resources. And you want to get to know the people who are making decisions in your city and county. Align with them. Who's the mayor of the city? Who's getting things done? Who leads the county? There are people getting things done. They want to affect the city and county. They want to affect the residents there. So, hey, at the time, your student athletes are residents of the city and the county. So get those resources to help you as well. And number 5, this is the most overlooked resource for universities that have player development. Those who do not, I think it's the most overlooked resource in general, is use your alumni resources. Use your alumni, your former players, and it's not just former players. I had a lot of impact on people who just went to the school that were alumni of the university. Use those resources. Every university has an alumni department, right? There's somebody that has lists and different things like that. I use it in a lot of cases. Some of these colleges, they have alumni bases inside the college. So when I was at the University of Houston, the business college had an alumni database. And I reached out to the person there and said, hey, I would love to create some externships for our players. They were like, hey, I don't know if anybody's going to respond. I sent an email. I got 4 hits like that in 2 hours. 2 hours. So you have people, alumni, that want to give back to the university, and maybe at the time they're not able to give a $50,000 gift to university, but maybe they're able to give time. Maybe they're able to give an internship. Maybe they're able to place someone in a career. You never know until you ask. And so you need to use these alumni resources. It is the most overlooked. I have this conversation with so many people. The most overlooked aspect of any program, and I'm talking about off the field and on the field, is alumni, former players, former students. Use your alumni resources. Well, you stayed throughout the episode, and I told you I had something special for you. And so if you look in the show notes, I kind of hit it because I wanted you to stay. If you look in the show notes, there is a downloadable document. Yes, a downloadable document that has these 5 resources set up, and you can go in and you can create notes and write notes and this is what we would do here. It's a document I want you to have. It's my gift to you. Thank you so much for supporting the Player Development Pod. Thank you so much for liking. If you haven't liked it yet, hey, if you like anything or you got anything from this podcast, please like and subscribe. Thank you all for subscribing, liking what I'm doing. So I just wanted to give a gift from me to you. I want to thank you for your support of Beyond the Field Player Development, of the Player Development Pod that you're listening to. I thank you so much for taking your time out of your day. And so this gift is from me to you. It has the 5 areas of, the 5 ways you can create player development if you're a smaller program. And if you're a bigger program, you can download it as well. But just want to, provide that for you. If you have any questions, reach out to me. My email's in the show notes. I can help you. Before we leave, I want to talk to you about what's about to happen here in a few weeks. It is about to be the 100th episode of the Player Development Pod. And for the 100th episode, I am doing 100 tips of player development live. Yes, 100 tips live. And I need you there. I need you there live. I need you there in the comments. I need you there engaged. I need you there liking. I need you there sharing. I want to give you 100 tips to help you as you help develop athletes. While you're here, you may have just clicked on because you saw smaller programs and impact. And you may say, I still don't understand what player development is. Awesome. Check out this playlist right here that talks about the impact player development can have on your program. Hey, as I always say, go out and create generational impact. Don't wait, create that generational impact today. Man, that's 97. That's the 97 episode right there. 97.